and welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. Okay, so you guys who know me forever, you know that I can tell you right now the immigration system is broken, the workers' comp system is broken, and to be a lawyer today has got to be a brutal job. With me, I'm blessed to have Dianne Bonfiglio. Did I get it right?
Yes, thank you for having me.
But you pronounce it another way. How'd you pronounce it?
In Italian, it would be Bonfiglio.
Yeah,
it
that
means
ain't happening.
good son.
Is that what it means?
Yes.
Okay. I would say, after knowing that, I would say maybe your maiden name would have been easier.
That is my maiden name.
Oh, is it? Oh, you
yes.
picked me name? Oh, good.
Yes.
My
married name is even more interesting. You'll be surprised.
My wife today kept her maiden name.
Did she? I kept mine for business purposes. I have my father's last name.
Okay, so my last name is Filowitz. My wife's last name is Mason. I said, Vic, keep your last name. Maybe I'll change mine. No, I would never change mine. Most of my family changed their name to Phillips.
Okay.
Because it was more generic and easy to deal with. And if you go back years, we've always lived in a prejudiced society. Okay? So it was a little more difficult. Today, people are so immune to everything, it doesn't make a difference what you do. All right.
Yeah.
Why'd you get into law?
Well, my family was poor. Okay, my parents were poor. They were poor. My grandparents were immigrants. I wasn't taught Italian because they were embarrassed. They were mocked, made fun of, generally put down. So I didn't get to learn that. I feel like I was deprived of that. But more than that, because we were, I would say, underprivileged, I felt like people who knew more about the law took advantage of immigrants coming into this country.
Yeah, that didn't change. Go ahead.
It hasn't changed.
Right.
And that was part of my problem. I said, this will never again happen to my family, because if you take $500 from a rich man, he probably isn't going to notice it. You take $500 from a poor family, it's a big deal. So that was part of it. The other part of it is I'm Italian, and we argued at the table every dinner. So
it's perfect.
That's kind of rolled into it.
You
So
said
part of it is the family.
You said something very interesting. The night before my heart surgery, friends of mine came up, him and his wife came up and gave me keys to a brand new car. And people give an expression like you do. But I took them from making nothing to making $4.5 million a year. So giving me a $20,000 car when you're making $4.5 million is like me buying you a $3 bottle of wine.
Right.
Okay?
So you live the American dream.
Someone gave you a car?
No, that you started making nothing and you went to making over $1 million.
Well, not me. He.
Oh, he did. Okay.
I got him. I marketed him and helped him get to there. But it doesn't matter. My life was really about helping others. That's my ultimate goal. Okay, so now you decide to get into law. Mm-hmm. Do you have support from your family?
I did not have financial support from my family.
No, it's not always about financial.
I did have support from my mom. My father had passed away by the time unexpectedly he passed. Before he passed, he said, I would have cried for you right now. He said he would give his right arm to get my education. That's how much it meant to him. I never gave up. I was working full-time, supporting myself and supporting my mom, and going to school at night. Sometimes I went full-time, sometimes I went part-time, depending. Ultimately, when it came to law school, I had to stop. I had to stop working because the first year of law school, you're not allowed to work.
Really?
So that was difficult, yeah. Well, I went to University of Miami, and they have 1L your first year, and they need you to focus. And I understand why, because your life changes. You really have no time for anything else, not even your family.
So I remember my nephew going to medical school.
Mm-hmm. Did you see him for a few years?
No.
No.
And now he's a doctor. He just became a doctor, and we don't see him any because he's on rotation. So now he's in North Carolina or South Carolina. Mm-hmm. I was brought up, I'm not Italian, but Italians and Jews are very similar. So I was brought up family first.
Family first. Meal times are important.
So we stay together. So when my parents retired and moved here, I moved here. Okay, so now you go to law school. How do you decide what field of law you want to practice?
Ooh, it's not actually, when you first come out, it's not really a choice, because you're you're green, so you kind of have to go wherever they want you because they just need your body and your hours and your youth. They need your time and your resources. So I started working for a commercial litigation firm in on Brickell in Miami.
Right.
I had a beautiful view of Biscayne Bay. It was lovely, except I had to be there 60 or 70 or 80 hours a week. So that didn't sit well with me as far as still being a family person. I'm like, this isn't going to work out for me. So ultimately, I learned a lot while I was there, and I was grateful for the opportunity. I was blessed to be very good at it, but I had to break from that and find a way to make time for family.
Okay, so you leave there. Where do you go?
I left there and I went to Fort Lauderdale first, which is where my family is. We were living, I graduated high school in Broward County. So that's where my family was, so I can be close to my family. I had been attending University of Miami, and I was commuting, so it was a long way. And then even when I was working in downtown Miami, I was commuting.
Oh, my God.
So that's also part of the drain when you're working that
Right.
many hours and you have a commute of an hour or more each way. It got ugly. Things got ugly.
Did you stay in the same field of law?
I did start to stay in civil litigation. I didn't do any criminal at that time. And I started to move a little more into family cases, family and immigration cases. I found that family, criminal, and immigration are often related. When someone comes in with a domestic violence, we have two components there. We'll have a family issue, and we'll also have possibly a criminal issue. So that was the connection there.
And I would be remiss if I didn't say that there's a very good possibility there was an immigration issue there, too.
Right. So when people came in with an immigration issue as well, it's who are your family, and your background counts for everything. When you're trying to apply for any kind of benefit in immigration, you better have a clear criminal background. So, and it also matters who you're related to. So the immigration system, I'm glad you said it was broken, because I think many people don't understand how broken it really is and how Byzantine it is.
Right. And I was telling you, my wife's Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm from North America. I thought, hey, Vic, it's be easy. You just come here. You're already in North America. And you're right there. You're a sister. You're our border. I mean, it's not like Mexico or Cuba or Germany. It's right here. You could walk to here. Okay. Little did I know.
Yep, it's going to require a lot of detail, a lot of hard work. We're going to dig into your personal business so we can share that with immigration and hopefully get you.
All right, so someone comes here. Does it really matter where they come from? Does it make it easier if they come from? I mean, we know that. Forgetting what's going on today.
No. Officially, no. It doesn't matter where you're from. Usually.
Do you look into? So Mary wants to come here, and she's going to marry Joe. Do you look into Joe also?
Depends. If Joe has a background history of offenses against children and Mary has a child she's also bringing with her, Joe, as the U.S. citizen, is going to have to clear a background to make sure.
So even he gets a background check?
Yeah, to make sure he's not bringing people in to be trafficked.
I mean, when I went for it, my file was like this big. We had all kinds of pictures. We had hundreds and hundreds of emails, because she lived in India and I lived here, Indiana, and I lived here. And as we were building our relationship long distance, we had a relationship. And it was interesting because I told you, for me, I was very nervous because we almost don't look like a couple. We do now because I've been doing it for so long, but it was really kind of weird. And she had like this most ridiculous thing to deal with when she was like 15 or 16, and she worked at a store, and she came home with candy or something from the store, and that kept coming up, even though it was supposed to be taken away, and she couldn't get status.
And the other thing is, all the forms for immigration are online, so people think, oh, you can just fill out a form. You can fill out a form, but if you don't know that you need to disclose that 16-year-old misdemeanor of shoplifting, you're going to get denied, and you're going to end up paying for it all over again. So just pay a little bit of money to get that consultation to find out if you're a person who can do it yourself, or if you need some help. You need a professional to help you.
I'm going to tell you right now, and you've heard me say this a million times, always use a professional. because when you don't, it's going to cost you 500 times more, and you're going to end up having to hire a professional anyway. I've dealt with the immigration system. I know what it's like.
Oh, I've had people who have completed their own applications online, and they submit it to the USCIS. Next thing you know, they get referred to immigration court. So now they may have saved $4,000 or $5,000 in their application process, but now they're going to spend $10,000 or $15,000 and possibly get deported.
I'm going to tell you,
So
you never know what's going to come up in the background. Because I have a clean background, so I went for my concealed weapons permit and my rail sale license. And it came back that I had 2 felonies in 1986 in Jersey.
surprise.
Right, surprise. So I go, but nobody knows what they are because there was paper then, no computers. So now I have these 2 felonies, but I really don't, but nobody knows how to get rid of them. So I was lucky enough that when I ended up going to the clerk of court, I spoke to her, and we were laughing together because it was so ridiculous of how do you fix it. And she said, Wayne, I got away. And I love people that think outside the box. So what she ended up doing, she took these 2 felonies that come up that don't say anything about it, took them into the judge, told him the story. He dismissed both of them, and my record was clear.
Now you have a dismissal. Very nice.
Yeah.
I mean, that works. And I also have the problem with clients who have the exact same name or a very similar name to somebody else who does have a criminal record. Now it's on their record. How do we clear that? And they're like, it's not my mistake. Why do I have to pay for it? Well, you're either going to try to sort it out and spend the money now, or you're going to end up spending time in the clink trying to sort it out. Like, sort it out now while you can. Because if you get pulled over and they think you're that person who's got a warrant, you're going to jail, and they'll figure it out after
Later,
you're in
right.
jail.
Right.
Even though you're innocent.
And the interesting part about the whole scenario is, then you did your immigration by yourself. That all came down. You ended up in jail. And then you got to call Dianne anyway for the criminal part.
And you're going to pay more money, unfortunately.
Right. So one way or the other, you can't win. And you're right. Now that I think about it, family law, criminal, and immigration kind of go in the same wheelhouse.
Right. Well, your particular case, for example, was your wife. She's your family member.
Right.
So you were filing a family petition for her. So we would have to make sure you had all your family ducks in a row. In other words, we have a good marriage certificate, that it was done properly. I had a couple that were married, and unbeknownst to the couple, the husband still wasn't divorced.
Oh, wow.
So we had to go back to family court to have the current marriage annulled, get that other divorce done, and now they can get remarried.
Mine passed away, so it was a little easier.
So, yeah, but I'm just saying how it gets more complicated as you go along. You need someone who knows a little bit about family law, or a lot about family
Right.
law, to get you straightened out.
And the interesting part about really the whole thing is that the pieces don't always fit together like a puzzle. Because I just told you I had 2 felonies. But yet,
Jeez.
my wife if they did my background check, that might have come up. And that might have been an issue I had to deal with, but I never had to deal with that issue. And
You
that
know
was-
why it didn't come up in your background? Why
Why?
you didn't have to do it that time? Because she was already in the United States.
Ah, okay.
When you're asking for a fiance visa, see that 90-day fiance thing?
Yeah.
It takes a whole lot more than 90 days. The 90 days only comes in after you've already waited probably a year,
Oh, wow.
okay, or more to get with your fiance. So it's when your fiance finally enters the United States, now you have 90 days to get married or go home.
Well, here's the issue with you. We're already past the top of our time.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
No, but you have so much information because we all really kind of spoke about immigration. We didn't even speak about criminal and family. And I say this lightly, I have an extensive background on family, not because I know anything, but because I had a family attorney who did 100-something shows with me. So she had forensic accountants. She had the girl that wrote Divorce Party, the play. There was a game, a divorce party game.
I've seen the game.
Okay, she brought her on. She brought other attorneys on. So I learned a little bit as we went through it. A whole bunch of stuff that I didn't know that we would need hours to go over. It's unbelievable what people have to go through. You know, if you have a plumbing leak and you try to fix it, and it gets to be a bigger leak, turn off the water, you call a plumber. If you have a legal issue and it doesn't fix right away, that could drag on forever. And a criminal issue, we didn't even touch on criminal, they don't care. It's, I'm going to lock you up, let the judges clear it up later.
Right, and they probably will not
Well,
advocate for you in that part. It's not the judge's job to advocate for you.
Right.
You're still going to have to find a lawyer to sort out the problem.
And later is not later an hour from now. Later could be like everything happens on Friday night, Saturday, or Sunday. So later is not going to be until Monday.
I had a young man who went into jail before Christmas, and there were no hearing dates available until January.
Oh,
So
wow.
he spent like 14 or 15 days.
And he could be innocent.
Well, I don't.
Well, you don't
whether
know.
or
I'm
not-
just
well,
saying, it's
everybody
possible.
is innocent, right?
Right.
Until proven guilty. But we couldn't even get him a bond hearing for quite some
Oh, my
time
God. And
because of no availability of judges or whatever, COVID.
bad things happen to
pick
good
an
people,
option.
too. Okay?
Right?
Bad
and
things
here
happen-
this poor guy was sitting in
I
jail
have a gentleman who
without
does a
his
show
family.
here who's a bail bondsman and a bounty
Great.
hunter. So he does a show here. And his co-host is, I think, a sergeant in the Port St. Lucie Police Department.
Okay, great.
So it's really interesting of how the scenario comes down, because if you get pulled over and you have a warrant, she could think that you're the innocent and nicest guy in the world, but she has a job to do,
Correct.
okay? And that's her job. And we'll figure it out later for them. Okay, how do people find you? You have a website?
We do have a website. It's very basic, legalresponsecenter.com. You can call us, text us,
You know
send
the
us
phone number I
smoke
on?
signal, 772-261-4720. You can email us, help@legalresponsecenter.com. There's a form on our website if you want to fill it out there. Just come in for a consult, see if it's right for you. You know, I'll give you options. You can do this, you can do that. How much is this going to cost? How much is that going to cost? Or maybe I'll say to you, look, I don't think there's anything I can do in your case. And that's okay too, but at least you know.
You save you some vanity, because I would have put my glasses to read that. With that, everybody, I can't stress enough, always use a professional. Have a great day, and we'll be right back, Dan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.